I kind of got off track and I want to get back on track and go over the functions on each of the archetypes. So there's going to be 64 videos total, 65 including the intro video, if I have my math right. And today I'm going to talk about introverted intuition mother father, which is also the parent function or the auxiliary function, just depending on what you want to call it. The parent function is from John Beebe's 8-function model, which is a model that I prefer rather than a 4-function model. I think it goes more in depth. It gets into the dark side of our psyche with the shadow functions, which I'm all about, which is the reason I named this channel Trauma Type. I'm going to get into those eventually, but go ahead and watch this whole playlist if you want to make more sense of it. And like I said, I got a lot more filming to do, so my work's cut out for me. All right, so 2 types have each of the function and each of the archetypal cognitive attitude slot, you can say. So for NI parent, NI mother father, whatever you like to call it, the first type is the ENTJ. The next type with NI mother father is the ENFJ. A lot like the ENTJ, just a lot lighter with the FE rather than the TE, which I'll talk about next in the next video, which I'll talk about more next in the following video. A brief overview what NI is. If you want a more detail, go ahead and watch the video above. NI is introverted intuition, of course. It's a leading function for INTJs and INFJs. It's kind of associated with long-term vision, will or willpower, kind of foreseeing their own personal future. It's planning in a sense, but I think planning is probably more TE, but I think it works well in conjunction with NITE, and it's very imaginative. I think a lot of people have theories that it's kind of like a spiritual basis to it. We all have NE or NI at some point, some way, some degree in our stack. So who knows? All right, let's get into what the mother-father function is. So Carl Jung had these archetypes, basically, which are reoccurring themes, patterns, characters, and mythology and stories. And the mother father is kind of the sense of responsibility in somebody, as John Beebe labeled it, or the parent or auxiliary. So it's something that usually gets developed kind of later in life. And for some people, it doesn't. Some people prefer to use the second function over the third function, or vice versa. They'd rather use the third function. They call them loopers, jumpers, whatever you want to call it. But a lot of people use it irresponsibly or immature in a way, but it can vary from person to person. But whoever has NI, introverted intuition, mother, father, they kind of need to take their vision, their future, and use it in a responsible way for other people. Okay, I want to talk about NE Cynics, which is in the shadow. It is the second shadow function, which shadows the parent father, or the parent function, the mother father function. Cynics is Latin for like old man. That's where the word like senator comes from. It's kind of the critical, cynical old man that's inside of you. And ENTJs, ENFJs have NE Cynics, meaning that they're critical of other people's vision, other people's futures, kind of like what they want, the goals of other people. And they can be quite stubborn or even selfish in a way. I think this applies probably more to ENTJs rather than ENFJs. I'm sure an ENFJ can be this way. Want to be control freaks because both ENTJs, ENFJs are in charge types with Linda Barton's interaction styles, which is something I haven't touched specifically on, but talked about a lot. In the next slides, I'm going to give some examples of some ENTJs, ENFJs, and talk a little about the functions. First, I want to look at Vince McMahon, who's an ENTJ. I think he's an interesting case study if you like professional wrestling or not. Say what you want about it. But just a little bit of history on Vince McMahon, who I probably should get more in depth because I think you can kind of watch everything unfold over the last 40 years. It started, well, of course, he's the owner. There's a lot of things going on right now, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on. I recently started watching wrestling, and it's kind of interesting. But anyways, he's the chairman of WWE. His father, Vince McMahon Sr., originally owned it, which was the WWF at the time. The old man died, and Vince took over in the late 70s, early 80s. I don't remember exactly when, and pretty much turned it from a little localized area into a worldwide phenomenon, kind of with Hulk Hogan, and made it a household name, basically. It's interesting because over the 40 years or so, you can kind of see his narcissism unfold and grow. I think he's a good example of an I parent, any cynics. You can kind of see as wrestling went on that he just tried making it for his own entertainment. Basically, he didn't really care what the fans wanted, what stockholders wanted, and you can just kind of slowly see it unravel. Here's a quote by Vince McMahon I think is interesting. "I don't give a damn what the fans think because, quite frankly, I know what the fans want better than they do." The next example is Oprah Winfrey and ENFJ, and another polarizing figure. I think she gets a lot of crap for people thinking that she's fake and not legitimately who she's trying to be, but I disagree. I think she's just an ENFJ, and she's just being an ENFJ. I think she's a much healthier example than Vince McMahon. Definitely more people oriented with the FE. Uh, I'm not really a big fan of her or anything, but it just kind of like seemed that she did it to help people. Sure, she got rich in the process, but she kind of brought awareness to a lot of things, I guess, even though I don't agree with a lot of things she brought awareness to, but to each their own, I guess, and kudos to her success. Be sure to check out my other channel I do with Xeon, who I've interviewed here several times. We look at astrology and typology, and we're kind of tying together and finding some interesting things. We only got a few subscribers, so definitely give that channel a look. It should be down in the description below. Also, like, share, subscribe this channel so it grows. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.